We're going to go into Window, into Animation Editors, and go into Expression Editor. And what I'm going to do is here at the top in the Object Filter menu, I'm going to choose Geometry Objects. And that's going to let me choose all of my shapes here, and I want to select the particle shape. So the expression is very, very simple. It's going to be if event. So if we have an event, if something happens, if instead of a 0 we have a 1 in the event, the particle collision event, then lifespan pp, so lifespan per particle, equals 0. So very simply, if it hits the wall, kill the particle. It's very, very simple. So I'm going to click on the Create button down here. You have to make sure that your particle setting here is in Runtime Before Dynamics. So we'll click Create. We'll minimize that because we're going to come back to it afterwards. And now if I go back in the timeline and press play, now you can see as soon as the particles hit the wall, they die instantly. So for a brief second they're set to 1 in the event, and then their lifespan is set to 0. So now we have our particles hitting our wall, and they die as soon as they hit the wall. Now the final step that we want to do is to be able to duplicate this bullet hole and then position it on that wall, and then give it a random rotation, and also group it under this holes group that we created here. So as I said, we're going to position it, and then we're going to rotate it randomly only in the z-axis to give it a little bit of variety. So we'll reopen our expression editor, add a few more lines to this expression to be able to add bullet holes in the wall. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable of type vector, and vector is a variable that we can use to store the positions of our particles. So we're going to name that variable pos for position, and we're just going to give it the value of position, so the value of the position of that particle at that time when it hits the wall. So then we're going to duplicate our bullet hole, okay, so the object hole, so that we have a new bullet hole, and we're going to remember the name of that new bullet hole in a variable called hole. So hole here is going to be the name of that new bullet hole, so whether it be called bullet hole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to parent our hole, our bullet hole, our new bullet hole, into the holes group so that we can keep our scene organized. And then we're going to use the Xform command. The Xform command is essentially means transform. We're going to basically move our bullet hole to where that particle hit the wall, and then rotate it randomly in the z-axis. So the first thing we're going to do is translate, so that, in other words, move. So in world space, we're going to translate our object, our new bullet hole, and what I want to do is take the position of of where the particle hit the wall in the x, in the y, and in the z. And we're going to put our hole, our bullet hole, at that position. And then finally we're going to transform again, and we're going to rotate not on the x, not on the y, but randomly between 0 and 360 in the z-axis our hole. So just to recap here, we have a variable called vector that's going to store the position of our particle when it hits the wall. So if it does hit the wall, then first kill the particle, then duplicate that bullet hole and put it into a variable called hole, so remember its name. Then we're going to parent that new bullet hole under the holes group to keep our scene organized. Then we're going to transform our new bullet hole. First we'll translate it to the position of that bullet hole. Then we're going to rotate it simply in the z-axis randomly between 0 and 360. So that's the whole expression. We're going to click on Edit to create that expression. And now you can see when I play back the animation, as soon as those particles hit the wall, they create bullet holes in the wall. So what I can also do is create an animation. So first I want to delete my bullet holes. So you can see here they've been neatly organized into the hole group. So I'm going to go and select them and delete them. And from a top view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a series of keyframes. So I can go here to the left and set a keyframe there. And I'm going to move this to frame 100 and set another keyframe there. Now you can see as I play back the animation, here I don't have enough time to really get all the bullet holes that I want. I really want the cannon to move slower. Now if I select the cannon again and I select the keyframes here and I start moving them around, you can see that I'm creating bullet holes as I'm working, as I'm moving in the animation. And this is complicated if you don't want to create bullet holes while you're making modifications. So you can go into the Modify menu here, and in Evaluate Nodes, set that to Ignore All. And what that's going to do is it's going to turn off all particles and expressions. So you can see here that I'm moving the cannon in the timeline, but no particles are being generated. So I can select the cannon, I can select the keyframes, and I can move this over to say about double the length, and then go back into Modify and then Evaluate, and then I can go back And I'll delete my bullet holes again, and I can press play, and it's going to create bullet holes, a lot more bullet holes, because it's moving slower in this case. That's exactly what I wanted. So now what you can do in the future is you can delete all of these bullet holes, you can delete the wall, and you can just keep this cannon in a scene, and you can import this cannon into any of your environments and then use it as an object to generate geometry, or use it as an object in an animation, or whatever it is that you want. So that's about it. Thank you for watching.